The story of Saint Maria Goretti.
Subscribe to our channel to receive more content like this.
Let me take you to a small village in Italy. The year is 1902. The place, a humble farmhouse in the countryside. Here lived a young girl named Maria Goretti. She wasn't a queen or a nun or a miracle worker. She was poor. She never learned to read or write. But what makes her story so powerful is her courage, her faith, and her ability to forgive something most of us couldn't imagine. Maria was just 11 years old. She lived with her mother and siblings in a small, cramped house shared with another family. Her father had died of malaria when she was only 9, and life became even harder after that. They worked as sharecroppers, farming someone else's land in exchange for a place to live. Maria's mother worked in the fields from sunrise to sunset. So Maria, being the oldest daughter, stayed home to take care of the younger children and the house. She cooked, cleaned, fetched water, and prayed. From a young age, Maria was known for her gentleness and deep faith. She loved God with all her heart. She never complained, even when she was hungry or tired. And every day, even when no one was watching, she tried to do what was right. But one day, something terrible happened. Something that would change everything. Living in the same house was a young man named Alessandro Serenelli. He was 20 years old, much older than Maria. He worked in the fields with Maria's mother, but behind closed doors, Alessandro had been struggling. He was addicted to violent magazines and unhealthy thoughts, and over time, he began to look at Maria in a way that wasn't right. She noticed. She kept her distance. She was afraid, and when he tried to speak to her alone, she refused. She even told him, "No, Alessandro, it is a sin. God does not want this." She was only 11, but she knew the value of her body. She knew the value of her soul, and she had the courage to speak up, even though it was dangerous. Then, on July 5th, 1902, the unimaginable happened. Maria was alone in the house, mending clothes. Her mother was out working in the fields. Alessandro came in and threatened her. He tried to force himself on her, but Maria resisted. She cried out, "No, it is a sin. God does not want this." She fought him off. She refused to give in. In a sudden burst of rage, Alessandro grabbed a knife and he stabbed her once, twice, 11 times, and as she fell to the floor, he stabbed her again, 3 more times. But Maria didn't die right away. Neighbors found her, bleeding and unconscious. They rushed her to the hospital, but it was too late. In her final hours, Maria suffered terribly. The doctors tried to save her, but the wounds were too deep. And yet, what she said on her deathbed would shock everyone. The priest asked her gently, "Maria, do you forgive him?" She replied, "Yes, for the love of Jesus, I forgive him, and I want him to be with me in heaven." Those were her final words. She died the next day. She was only 11 years old. Now, here's where the story takes a powerful turn. Alessandro was arrested and sent to prison. At first, he was angry, bitter, and unrepentant. He didn't care about what he'd done. But then, something changed. One night, while in prison, Alessandro had a dream. In that dream, Maria appeared to him. She was glowing with light, and she handed him 14 white lilies, one for each of the wounds he had given her. When he woke up, something had shifted. He began to feel sorrow, real, painful regret. Slowly, over time, he changed. He began to pray. He asked God for forgiveness. And after 27 years in prison, he was released. The first thing he did, he went straight to Maria's mother and begged for her forgiveness. She looked at him and said, "If Maria forgave you, then I forgive you too." Alessandro went on to live in a monastery. He spent the rest of his life doing penance, prayer, and service. And Maria? She was remembered not just for her innocence, but for her strength, her bravery, and her incredible mercy. In 1950, Pope Pius XII declared her a saint. At her canonization in Rome, a 66-year-old Alessandro Serenelli sat in the crowd, weeping. Maria Goretti became one of the youngest saints in the Catholic Church, not because she performed miracles, not because she was a nun or a scholar, but because, even in the face of violence and death, she chose love, she chose forgiveness, she chose God. Her story reminds us that holiness isn't about age or status or power. It's about courage. It's about purity. And above all, it's about the grace to forgive, even when it feels impossible. So when life tests you, when the world seems dark, remember the little girl from the Italian countryside who gave everything she had for the love of God. Saint Maria Goretti, pray for us.